What's poppin', y'all? It's your boy DeAndre, and we back with a second episode of the Squid Games the Challenge podcast aftermath recap show, where we have my special guest today, Mr. Player 299, Spencer Hawkins in the building. What's happening, Spencer?
Nothing much. I just watched episodes 1 through 3 for the first time myself, so wild.
Okay. Excellent. Well, he's up to date, which is important for this little aftermath narrative session. As I said last video, this is where we're going to discuss each episode in as much clarity as possible and break it down to the core of all. If you have not watched the episode yet, do not continue watching this video. This is spoilers ahead if you have not seen episode 1 and 2. If you haven't seen those episodes, you don't want to be spoiled, click off the page, watch it, come on back. Or if you just want to hear us chit chat about it, because we're going to give you a just as good a breakdown as what's in the episode, that's free as well. I'm just giving y'all heads up. This is spoilers in it if you have not seen it. And so Spencer, can you tell, I'll start off with you before we get into the episode real quick. How you feeling after the season premiere?
I'm feeling good. I think one thing a lot of people ask after they you see yourself on TV is are you embarrassed and whatnot? And I don't think that's really a thing I had to worry about. I mean, well, sure, embarrassed, yes. I see myself crying. I see myself saying some very silly things, embarrassing things. But I was myself. And so I'm proud of who I am and no regrets there.
Have you checked Twitter yet?
Yeah, some people think I wasn't myself. Some people think I'd be acting, but
yeah, I
just be feeling intense emotions.
Well, that's good. It's good to have intense emotions sometimes because you can express yourself. I think there's a mixed review based off Twitter alone. It's like some people understand, some people don't.
Yeah.
And in other forums I've heard some people had some things to say, but I'll get into those later.
Okay.
So why did you decide to apply for the show?
I applied to Squid Games the Challenge for 2 reasons. A few years ago, I had cancer, and I recovered from it. And in that moment, I realized that there were 2 things that I valued most in life. One was connections with other people, and so I started investing more in my relationships. And 2 was life experiences. Whether that be through personal development and growing skills or just unique experiences. And so applying for Squid Games the Challenge gave me an opportunity to invest in both of those things. I was hoping to win the money to be able to support my family in need who I care about, as well as be able to meet so many cool people with cool stories to learn from them. And then also just the experiences of being on the show. So sounded like a dream come true.
Dream come true it was, and a dream come true it continues to be.
Every day.
Every single day, man. You live in a dream that others wish they could have. Can you tell me where you're from?
I'm from Spokane Valley, Washington.
And can you give the viewers just a little glimpse of a fact or tidbit about Spokane that they might not know?
Well, everyone, when they think Washington, if you're on the East Coast, they think DC. But I have to keep telling them, nah, it's Washington State. And then when I tell them Washington State, they're like, oh, next to Seattle? And I'm like, no, not next to Seattle. It's really close to Idaho, actually. So maybe just think of me as an Idahoan. But Spokane. Idahoan, I think that's what it's called. But nah, I'm a Washingtonian Spokaneite.
Okay.
I don't know, Spokane's cool. They got the world's largest red wagon, as well as the world's largest 3-on-3 basketball tournament. So that's what they got going for them.
Interesting. Okay. And did you watch Squid Games before coming on the show?
Oh yeah. I love TV and movies.
So who is the one player in the real show that you could identify with the most?
I think
it's okay if you don't get their number right, but you can just describe the character.
The character, I think her name was Son Yak. She was from North Korea.
Yeah.
I don't remember her number, but I just think she had such a intense dedication to her family, and I feel like I care deeply in that sense. She's a little more violent than I am and cutthroat for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. She was in it for the bag, and she went out with all flame and glory. Flame and glory, I think that's the right saying. But anywho, well, cool. We got
Any
got
whoosies.
to know a little bit about Spencer. Now we'll continue to chime in with some certain Spencer facts as we recap this episode, because this is also a recap episode as well as you know a decompress with Spencer. But anyways, we'll continue where
Decompress.
we left off. A debrief. Sorry. So we'll lead off where we left off. Episode 1 ended, if you forgot, it ended with the players only have 2 minutes to decide, and 098 decided not to pick a shape after 170, 328, and 166 were all had their hands on the shape, and then they all got eliminated. And the cliffhanger left off is the next group of players, which is 454, 321, 288, 454. They start having discussions, and then there's a race that happens, and then they get there, and I don't really okay. And there's a race that happens, and they can't figure out what to do. Yes, I am 288. If you didn't pick up what for the last episode,
I think the other funny part about that, which is in the show, but they make sure not to like emphasize it at all, is when that race happens and you put your hand on triangle, you accidentally punch a hole in the wall. And when you come back later to the triangle group opening the doors, there's that hole on the wall. And if you look at it, people are like, why is it there? It's there because of that race, because you punched a hole in it.
Yeah, it was intense in there, I mean, it was the heat of moment, and the brother was trying to make it quick.
You don't need to tell me about intense.
Exactly. That room is diabolical. I never want to step foot in that room again, unless I'm filling out a circle or triangle. Anywho, yeah. So I'm spoiling already. So we move on to episode 2. That was the cliffhanger. So episode 2 comes. We all start arguing. The clock is ticking, 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 ticking. Nobody's really coming to a conclusion. So they kind of speed this up in the episode, but I'll break this down a little bit more just for y'all. So from my point of view, I was, everyone was arguing with the shapes. I was on the triangle, I believe. Somebody was on circle. I don't remember the guy's number. The middle, the guy of Indian or Asian descent. Can't remember his number. He was on circle, and I was on triangle. And then the older woman walked up the triangle, put her hand on that as well. And then I walked down to star. And then the older guy was on star. And he was like, I'm not moving. And I'm like, well, I ain't moving. And he was like, well, you should go. And everybody's telling me to go. And I was like, look, y'all, this is not how this is going down. I'm not moving, and we can all die. And I meant what I said, and I wasn't moving. Now, I did almost move when there was like 5 seconds left. Now, clearly they don't show all these things, but that's why I'm filling in the gaps, because, that's what TV does. But, yeah, I was going to move, but I remember before I went in, as I said last episode, everyone's running their mouth, talking to you, and getting in your head, and that can kind of mess up your judgment a little bit. And my initial judgment was like, I don't care, I'm picking a shape regardless. But then I thought about it a little more, and people just had these major doubts about the umbrella, and I was like, look, if I got to go out, I told myself before the show, I got to go out on my sword. I'm going to have to do it now. And I made that decision. It sucked. It hurt. I had some words with some people afterwards. I had a little overreaction afterwards, but hey, what happened, happened. And you just had to live and move on. You can't dwell on the past. Everything happens for a reason. That was my role that I was destined to play, regardless if I wanted to or not. That it is what it is. Anyways, we'll move on. So, everyone is eliminated. Next. So we're going to say peace out to brother 288. It was nice knowing you. You did a good job.
It is nice knowing you.
Yeah, it was nice knowing you. So, the next group of players in line, because it's now their turn, is players 299, 432, 344, and 452. Now, this is where we meet Spencer for the first time. He gets his first MIV shown up in the show. He's a computer engineer. He's a mama's boy and says he's very gullible and from Spokane, Washington. This is the words out of his mouth. Brighton says, what do you want to say? Brighton says, what do you want to say? And then they all say at the same time, pretty much, man up, man up. They all keep telling this to Spencer right now. They start arguing. Spencer says he will pick the umbrella if they help him. He will spit on someone else's cooking like a real gentleman. Spencer, tell the audience what was going through your head.
A lot of thoughts. I think one thing that isn't really captured well in the show too is just that you and we were a bit of pals by this point in the show. We 288 299 we were close to each other when we were lining up for red light green light, had a little bit of a chat there, and then we were running close to each other throughout the whole competition, chatting in the dorms. And so I'd say you were probably my best friend in the games up to that point. And when you got eliminated, that's when the waterworks started.
Oh,
so I was already emotionally on edge. And then it came to the point that like I had to make a choice now for other people. And so I'm thinking a lot about how I want as many of us to be able to make it through as possible. Because that feeling we all had when we got through red light, green light, and we were in those dorms together, that first like day or two we were all there, there was such a huge sense of community. And like
100%.
Everyone was there for one another, and I loved that, and I wanted to be able to experience that again. And so I wanted to be able to help as many people get through. And so I knew that like going into that room, I wasn't going to be the one to stop us from making a decision.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, it's a very euphoric feeling, going in there and kind of surviving to a sense.
Yeah, surviving and going to the dorms, not being in the room making the decision. That's not euphoric.
Yes. Being in the room sucks. Like, it's a horrible feeling. Everyone, I saw the commentary, everyone, in episode 1, they're like, oh, I'm so happy I'm in the back. I'm so happy in the back. And I was just rolling my eyes. I'm just like, look, it just was, I wasn't a fan of how it went down like that. I wish they would just did it like the show and just opened up the box and we got it. Like, we don't need all that extraness, but I understand it's a show. They got to make TV, whatever, yada, yada, yada. So anywho, yes. So eventually the pressure keeps building and building and building, and ultimately it combusts with, Spencer unfortunately having to select the umbrella, sadly. The dreaded umbrella. And then they all say that they will help him if he picks the umbrella before he picks it. They all say they'll help him, which, Spencer, did you believe them when they said this? Like, I know it was panic mode. I know it's panic, and you.
Yeah, and so I'd say because it's panic mode, I'm believing them. I think the whole idea of helping one another, like a few days later when I began to like process it, I realized that's not a smart idea. Like, I completely understand like why the show can't allow it, because if someone tried to help someone else and they started breaking their cookie, then like whose fault is it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
But look, lapse of judgment. It gets that you had 2 minutes to make a decision, and it was rough. Even though they didn't show everything in the edit, they didn't show everything. So if you want to elaborate on anything else that went on, we can move on from that. But that's up to you. We can move on, or do you want to elaborate on anything else that happened in that room before you decided to make a decision?
I can't remember anything else that happened. I'm sure there was just more yelling over one another before I had my little speech that I made. But I think they included everything I said in embarrassing detail in that little section.
Yeah. So then it pans back to the lines in the white room, and this black girl runs up in the umbrella line. She says, "Are you serious?" I didn't get her number, but it was hilarious. Right after he decides,
I think she says something like, "Don't shake hands with a villain."
Yeah, she's something. Yeah, that was said too. That was said from someone off camera. I don't think it was the same girl. So then it goes back to a slow motion of Spencer crying, and then kind of like dry heaving per se. Then Spencer says he was an idiot. He thought others could help him. Spencer holds back his throat once again. And then it goes to another mib of Spencer saying he grew up Mormon. He doesn't know how he feels about the church anymore. He goes on a little tangent about his beliefs and values. And just, he's questioning a lot of things that's went on in his life up to this point. They added this, and they added a lot of characters, random filler for whatever reason, I guess to get to know people, but I don't... it kind of came at weird and awkward times. I'm just going to put it like that. Like, it just kind of just popped up out of nowhere. That really doesn't have anything to do with the story, but he said these things and they aired them. So then once... I mean, I'm just telling you what the edit said. I'm just going with
Yeah,
the
no,
show
it's fair. It's fair.
I didn't have a problem with what it was, but because it gave me time to like relax. But I mean, how do you feel about them putting that in there?
I mean, I was surprised. I didn't expect to see it, and I didn't remember the things I said because it was all so long ago, and so it's weird hearing those things.
Mm-hmm. Well, so we pan back to the white room. Everyone who has circles celebrates profoundly. They're ecstatic. They're like they won the lottery. I mean, they're going crazy. And doggone a game begins. The first people of circle start heading on in. Trey, he says if he's gonna win the game, he's got to start playing like his mom. 4-5-2. So then the game starts and they start doing the circle. It gets really quiet, but they start getting it done. So 4-5-2 passes. These are the numbers that they announced. So I'm just doing the numbers they announced. 4-5-2 passes. 4-8-6 celebrates. He says, "Let's go." 48 breaks the circle and dies very dramatically. It was pretty hysterical. 428 breaks the circle. 109 is eliminated as well in the circle, and 73 breaks the circle. So 4 people broke it. The mother and son both get the circle done. Well done, Leanne and Trey. You guys are making it happen.
Love you guys.
452 gets unwavering praise when everyone walks in the room. I'm kind of like jumping a little bit. When everyone goes in there, like they're just ecstatic because he was able to luckily just land on the circle and just have that. So that was great for him. And then when they get back in the dorms and everyone's completed it as well, like they're lifting him up, they put him on their shoulders, like he's the king right now. So definitely he's got all his star chips. 432 says God told him to put his foot down when he was talking to Spencer. He said God just put him in this position to make it happen. So then they start with the triangles. So 432 has the triangles. 456 breaks the triangle. The last number in the game. It's mullet. Let me not mistake the names, but 452 breaks the triangle mullet. Number 20 breaks the triangle. 444 breaks the triangle. Oh, sweet 444. Very sweet. Brooklyn. 165 breaks the triangle. Then we meet number 179 for the first time, Cheney. She talks to Jada and she does not like 432 for obvious reasons. 219 breaks the star, 79 breaks the star, 39 breaks the star, 134 breaks the star, and she is the one who eliminated number 200. So her story arc is over. She is out the game. Her karma has came back to bite her, and she is feeling it. She has a very sad. I think I didn't write this line down, but I think she has a line saying, "I knew karma was going to come back and get me." Which, I mean, it's true. It did come back and get her really quickly. Then it's time for the dreaded umbrella line. I kind of went over the lines real quick, but that's how it's going. It's time for the dreaded umbrella line. So the umbrella people walk in the room. They are mad. They're quiet. They have the eyes of the tiger, not in a good way, aimed at Spencer. 101 is very mad at Spencer. 259 says he can't look at people in their eyes. Spencer feels very ostracized by all these people. Everyone hates him in this moment, essentially. Nobody comes up to him, shown on camera. So Spencer, tell me, when you people walk in the room, what's going on?
Yeah, I think there is some anger and frustration in the room for sure. And I think a bit of that is shown on camera. But I think also what isn't really shown is people in the room did come up to me to like show kindness and a bit of camaraderie before we began. And as well as after the competition as well, even after many of us were eliminated and we were like removed from the game and we were bussed away. There was a lot of hugs and a lot of good conversation that happened there, and I appreciate.
Well, you haven't got that far yet. We just got when people are walking in the room.
We're just in the room.
I'm talking about what you feel.
I think another thing about us all being in the room right there, and one reason I'm not saying anything to anyone else, and another reason some of those people aren't saying anything to me, is because a lot of us have been saving spit in our mouths so that we could spit into our cookies as soon as the game began.
That's okay. So they're keeping quiet because they need to save that spit because the room is very dry and cold. So they don't. I wish the temperatures and like the environment was a little bit more seen or understood, but it's not at all. The room is very cold and dry, so you can't really. It's hard to spit because your just mouth is dry. Oh, so after everyone comes up. Spencer, they all actually the umbrella people. They start the cookie. They got the 10 minutes. Let's get going. Right when they start, they show Spencer dry heaving in his mouth again while cutting the cookie. Right next to 101, and he looks at him. And then next thing you know, 101 gets eliminated. Spencer looks in his tray to see it broken, and they have a little eye contact, and then Spencer leans back very awkwardly, but it's hilarious. Probably one of my favorite scenes of the episode. It's so funny. And
Another
then
interesting thing about that is that when we were competing with the cookies, it was broken up into quarters, or at least for the umbrella group, when we were doing our cookies, because they wanted to get as many shots of us when we were finishing our cookie as possible. And so when I looked over at him, I wasn't actually working on my cookie. I was just trying to see if he made it because I had thought he had at that point. And so when he looked back at me, I wasn't working on my cookie. And when he looked at me, I wasn't working on mine.
So you haven't started on your cookie. Your timer hasn't started yet.
No.
That's interesting. I mean, it was because some people would say like, why is he wasting time? Like he needs to continue his cookie. So that.
Oh, I was not wasting time. I was rushing.
It makes sense then. The edit, it kind of confused a little people, but thank you for the clarity. So 101 is also someone who eliminated 200, I believe. Yes. 101 is the other guy who eliminated 200. They both got their karma really soon. So there goes to show, if you go on Squid Games and they ask you to eliminate somebody, just give them the advantage, and karma gonna come back and save you. Or I don't know, eliminate somebody else.
I hope Kyle and Danny are both doing well.
Yes, I hope you guys are doing wonderful. They felt really bad about it.
Yeah, wish we had more time to talk.
Yeah. Well, you talking about talk to them too?
Talk to everyone. Too many cool people.
True. Umbrella continues. 193 gets eliminated. Spencer starts panicking. It pans back to him. 349 eliminated. 335, 6, 338, 37, 274, 114. Then the ultimate disaster happens. 299. This is cookie treats. What's going through your head? What's that umbrella break?
I don't know. It was in me failing. It was not only me failing, but the people that I was competing there for. And it's also not just the fact that like I failed, but it's reinforcing that I made this choice for everyone and so few people are able to come through it.
Yeah, it was sad to see, honestly. Like, honestly, seeing a lot of these people that I know lose, it's honestly sad because it's like, dang, like I know, the show was filmed many months ago, but it's very sad to see on camera because just some of the people's faces, you don't get to see that a lot. And it's a little heartbreaking, no matter how the fashion they got themselves into that sense. So I was sad when I was watching that. It was funny because you shrieked, but it was very sad. I was like, oh. You did.
I don't know. Yeah, sure. Maybe.
You like broke it? You're like, ooh. We continue. RIP 299. You did us all well. Next, 270 passes, 215 passes, 330, 367, and 194 pass.
Ayo,
107
Roland,
pass.
Hannah, Camilla.
330 is Dr. V. 330 is Dr. V. I don't know who 367 is. I don't know 194. 107 passes, 418 passes, and 319 passes on the last second. Boom. So they show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 umbrellas passing out of 50, roughly 50. I'll just say 48 or 47 or whatever it was. That's not that high. So you can't blame the people who decided not to pick the umbrella, you know. I mean, that's the lowest by far of any group possible. I'm not gonna get into the details of the umbrellas. Those are just the people that passed. I'm gonna leave it at that. Um, yeah, and we'll move on from that. Spencer know what I'm talking about, but we'll move on from that.
Do I?
There's been a little controversy on the umbrella, but we won't get into that because that's not important at this point. What's important is that the Dalgona game is complete. 439. It's one more scene. 439 pours sand on the ground in like dismay in very dramatized fashion because they just didn't get it, and they were almost to the last second too. So it was very funny. So we pan back to the dorms. Everyone is happy, somewhat happy. Trey says he's upset 432 and Teo are still in the game, and he needs to get them out. 432 and 198 get in an argument in the hallway, going to the bathroom. They start making little comments. 432 kind of threatens him a little bit. It's really nothing. They're not going to fight in the game. But he did say he would beat him up outside of the game. That's just what was said. Just reporting what was said. There was these two players or two characters in the show. People know who they are. They're not, strangers by any means necessary. So I'm not shocked. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is with them too. I don't really have much to say about that. Next, 198 says he thinks 198 says 432 thinks he's still in high school, and if he gets the chance, he will eliminate him. People are complaining about the food again. This is not the first time people was complaining about the food. Spencer, tell me about your experience with the food, man.
I think I described the whole experience as kind of like an adult summer camp. The food was lacking, had room to improve, but I think the people were some of the best around, and I really appreciated the company and having no technology, so we just all could connect.
Yeah, no, the no technology was nice. It was nice to get away, and honestly, it was great. I thought I was going to be hating it, but it was actually nice. I was thinking about some things on the outside because, like, nowadays it's hard to go a day without your phone, but having that was a little euphoric just because you could be in the moment with everything, So I definitely kind of missed that aspect, and it was a good time away. It was definitely a good time away. So they receive the total scores from the game, and a total of 69 players get eliminated in Dalgona. Woo! It's a lot of players. Steven, 232, I forget Steven's number, but we know who Steven is at this point. Steven says he needs to go make some friends because all his friends got out in Dalgona, like 101 and some of his other crew. The Guwak gang? I keep forgetting the name. The Goo, remember the name of the gang?
Gabanju?
It's something gang. Gangu gang. That's what it is, Gangu gang. The Gangu gang is diminishing. And 101 is sad, and 101 is out, and he's very sad about it. He makes an alliance with other people. This is where they create the Ganbu gang. Sorry, I jumped ahead. He creates the Alliance Ganbu gang right now. 6 guys. It's like 232, 204, 31, 231, and a couple others. Leanne says she is in the game more as a personal challenge, and she wants to show you can keep trying new things and doing new things no matter what. And she's one of the oldest ones there. She's definitely inspiring a lot of people in there, including myself. She's wonderful. Then a telephone enters the game. No one knows what the phone is. 432 and 302 have a talk, and 432 says he is who he is. They don't really. That's just they were there. So Leanne is 302, and Brighton is 432. She goes up to him because she just wants to know, is this who you really are? Like, why is everyone saying these things about you? Is this who you really are? And he says, yeah, this is me. This is how I normally am. And she's like, oh, okay. She's a little taken aback, but she wants to console him because, she's being the motherly figure in the place, and she's trying to, Also, she has a strategy of, she knows maybe a physical game's coming up, so she needs some muscle on her team. How do you feel about Leanne doing this? What's your opinion on this?
What's my
Spencer?
opinion?
Like, what do you think about her doing this strategy? Is it a good strategy?
I mean, I think making friends is good, and it seemed like she was being kind to Brighton. And while I think he did some unkind things, I hope everyone always has a friend.
Okay. Guess he's going with the I plead the fifth. So Brighton says he played football at Clemson and says he dropped out to go on the show. Wow, that's wild. He says it was just so then they gives a myth and he says it was just him and his mom growing up and that's all he had. And that's when him and Leanne start bonding more because he's opening up. He says he couldn't even trust his mother at times. How much can a 21-year-old white woman teach a black kid? He says. Wow. Um, he continues to open up and tells Leanne that she's his best friend, but he says he has never had anyone to trust and no one ever has understood who he is and never does still. The phone rings and 198 answers the phone, wants to eliminate 432. He is given opportunity to deserve a treat. Guy answering his phone. Soon after he picks it up, a cheeseburger and french fries come out and everyone freaks out and surround him like rabid dogs. It gets pretty vile in there. Everyone is very hungry at this point. I can imagine salt. They haven't had salt in like over a week at this point. So it's getting to that point where your human tendencies are coming out at the sniff of anything with any flavor, because in the games none of the food had any flavor whatsoever. It was all dry food in very small containers. You bring out a Big Mac and 3 sets of fries, 2 Big Macs and 3 sets of fries, like, what do you think's gonna happen? So when they bring the food out, everyone just comes, grabs the food, and just takes off, starts taking all the food. No one has any remorse. Jada steals a burger very slyly and runs off, and some people take notice of this. 432 says, everyone who steals food is disgusting. You should not be stealing that food from that guy. How do you feel about people stealing his food?
That doesn't seem very nice.
Would you steal some food from him?
No, I would have asked.
I think people took food from 198 because he wasn't a very liked player as well. And he's not like a big dude either, so it's not like he can like stand up for himself after taking. Like I feel like if it was a bigger guy, that wouldn't have happened. Or if it's someone more liked, like Leanne, they wouldn't have happened. So
Yeah.
it just was it was like the circumstance of nobody really respecting this guy, as well as him not being like be able to defend himself from like not that he was gonna fight people off, but just like if Brighton were to grab those fries and that was him, nobody would have came and stole his food. That's not what would have happened. And so once once the food is gone, everyone starts talking about food again. Blah blah blah. Like the food talk was going on constantly because they weren't really feeding us well. So it's like like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here so I can go get some ice cream or I can go get like a steak. Like Spencer, what was the first thing you ate when you left the game that was of your choice?
I think I had a burger and fries, and yeah,
How was it?
it was good. It was good. You know, it was different than the food we were eating in there, and after the stress of the day with Dalgana, it would have been a little longer since I had my lunch because I had to wait so long. I had to wait a little while before competing with the Umbrella Group. And just the stress of it all had already made me feel sick. And so it took a little bit for me to finish that burger.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's hard to go back and eating regular food that amounts because you can get sick. And, some people, if they decide to eat a lot of that food after not eating none of that for a while, it would have got them sick. So that's just how the body works. So after that's done, the phone rings again later. And 198 does what he does best and picks up that phone. He is now being told on the phone he is at risk of being eliminated. He must get someone else to pick up the phone or else he will be eliminated. and the clock opens up at 2 minutes. Once he hears this, his whole face and demeanor change. You can see it in his eyes. It's not so happy-go-lucky anymore like the first time. And once the people see this, people start running away and get very sketched out. And with that, we are left on a cliffhanger from episode 2. Wow, what an episode. We lose 69 players in Dalgana. 69 wonderful and great players.
If you insist.
Some of the best 69 players in the game, but they're out.
I'd like to think so. I love the people in that umbrella line.
Yes, it was. The umbrella line was full of wonderful people, I will say. Like, they're some of the best people I know. Spencer, so episode 2 happened, all that stuff. Time of the game's up. What's kind of, you're out the game now. You're getting back home. What's kind of like how are you feeling once you get back home?
I'm thinking about a lot. Other things that aren't shown in the game, you just have so many conversations. And based on a few conversations that I had with you and some of the other players in the game, I began to realize that some of the relationships I had in my life were not the healthiest. And so I began...
I want you to explain on that. Divulge on that a little bit.
I will just say that...
Like, you don't have to get into the relationships and like, you don't have to get in detail, but just how did you know that they were unhealthy compared after being in the show? Like, what made you come back?
When you talk about someone or some people to others and you see their reactions and they're not reacting the way you expected, it forces you to think a little bit more about what you're saying. And so when I share details about my relationships with certain other people and I saw other people not reacting like that was normal or healthy, I was able to reevaluate. And so in the following months, I tried to make some of those relationships healthy. And some of them I had to ultimately say goodbye to and remove from my life. And so my life has been filled with a lot of growth and investment in myself since then. I am working on several projects right now that I've been working on for years, and I think are finally coming to a point that I can finally share with the world. One of them is a play that I wrote a few years ago, and I've been editing a lot since, and I'm finally going to be posting that online like a radio play within the next week. And it's just silly, but I'm happy with it and excited to share it with people. And the other is a book I wrote about stories I've learned from my time with my nieces and nephews and the silly lessons you learn when you're around toddlers. And I'm excited to share that with people too.
Do you think if you didn't do the show that you would be completing these tasks and objectives as yours, or do you think you'd still kind of be lulling and kind of maybe procrastinating in them a little bit?
I think I'd still finish them. I think their final form would be different, or like the dates would be different, but
they'd still be like done. Like the show didn't help you like get motivated to kind of like get it.
I mean,
done.
Sure, motivation helps, but I am a very goal-oriented person, and so it's a goal that I've had, and so it is one that I will finish.
That's excellent. We want to check it. What's the name of the book?
The name of the play is You're Accepted, and the title of the book right now is What 2-Year-Olds Have Taught Me About Living a Fulfilling Life.
I'm glad you changed that title.
A lot of working titles have come through and gone.
Yeah, I heard a couple of those working titles. That one sounds good though. All right, that's excellent. That's excellent. That's wonderful. Well, wow, the season has turned out to be crazy. You know,
so much time seeing people get eliminated. I wish I could know more about the people.
yeah, no, I definitely wish we could learn more about more of the individuals. I think that would help the audience connect with the people a little bit more. And then, when you first see them and then they're just gone, kind of is like, oh, like I wanted to see more of that girl with the red hair. I wanted to see more of this person. I want to see more of that person. And I mean, the episodes are 50 minutes, so it's like you only can get what you can get. But at the same time, I think there was a little bit of space to kind of, introduce some more people. Uh, just, keep the freshness in. It's a brand new show, so I think the fresh you keep it. The more characters you have, the better off it is. That's just my POV. But yeah. And yeah, how I guess, since I am gone as well, it was wonderful. I had a great time. I learned a lot in the show. I definitely learned a lot about myself. Learned a little bit more about people, and definitely meeting some of the people kind of changed a lot of things in my life and helped me kind of like alter what I was doing and really focus more on myself than other things that I was getting involved with, such as my
You're a
content
hustler.
creation. Yeah, my content creation definitely started because of because of people in the show. They pressured me and they put me on the right path. And so I wouldn't even probably be making this video. I wouldn't be making this video if it wasn't for the show, obviously. But for two, I wouldn't have made a lot of videos because of the show. I made probably over 1,000 TikToks this year and over hundreds of YouTube videos. And I wouldn't have made none of those if it wasn't for the show. So, and meeting the people from the show. It's because they opened my eyes and I seen, all these people online, they're real people. I didn't know them before the show, but just seeing them and them telling me what it is and them seeing them after, I was like, wow, like that's a blessing. And I think I'm not gonna say
They're
it's
role models.
Yeah, no, definitely. It kind of, seeing that keeps me going. And if I couldn't have the 4.56 million, I'm glad I got that. And I didn't leave empty-handed. So I'll take something away from anything. I think that's a good kind of rule to go by. But yes,
That's so sweet.
288 and 299's adventures are over, but that doesn't mean we completely out the game. I'm still gonna be here. If 299 ever wants to be a guest again, and we can talk to the third person or the other person who's kind of be coming on this podcast, we can do it as well. It's gonna be lit up in here, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. Spencer, where can the people find you at online?
Right now, I'm just on Instagram, trying to find out where, if anywhere else, I want to have a presence. But
What's your Instagram username?
Spencer _Hawkins 07.
Okay. No Twitter?
Nah,
No TikTok?
not yet.
No YouTube page?
Not yet.
Okay, so
I told you I'm working on a book and a podcast.
Okay, he's a busy man. He's a busy man. Let me chill.
Yeah, it sounds like I might have a Spotify in the next week. But
okay, well then definitely, so follow him on Instagram to get those Spotify
and then
updates.
I'll post the updates
on Instagram. Wonderful. Well, excellent. Well, Spencer, this was wonderful. I appreciate having you on. You're one of my best friends. It was lovely to have you. If it wasn't for the show and I didn't meet you, I would be sad every day.
Every day.
But then I wouldn't know you exist. So it's
You're making me blush.
Well, we connected early in the show.
We did.
I don't think we connected too much before red light, green light. I think very briefly.
Whoa, you don't remember our conversation before red light, green light?
It was brief though. It wasn't anything extensive.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, why don't you remind me of the conversation?
No worries. We were just talking about you being an actor in New York. But the other thing about red light, green light with you and me is you knocked me over and I had to hold a awkward pose in a mid lunge for so long because you kept diving so you could lay flat on the ground.
Hey, look, after the first two poses, I was like, look, it ain't happening like this, coach. I gotta get comfortable.
That third pose came and you jumped forward and you knocked me and I landed.
But that's because after that point, I was on my. I think I was in I was sitting flat on the ground, straight up, kind of like this, but my feet are like straight out. And so I told myself the next time, because my back was sensing enough. The next time I just had to lay on the ground because there was no other way. And unfortunately, there was somebody else that ran into me that ran into you at the same time. And I know you were like on one foot for like 20 minutes.
Hmm.
I was dying because I couldn't lift my head up to see who it was. And I was like, who is it? He's like, it's Spencer. It's 299. I was like, who's 299? Because I couldn't remember the numbers at that point. And I was like, oh, snap. Are you good? He's like, nah, I'm not. I was like, all right, when we get up, you go this way, I go this way. And then it worked out after that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we connected before the game a little bit, but more so it happened in the dorms, I think, because I don't think we finished the same. No, we didn't. I finished before you, because I was looking at you. Um, but yeah, I didn't see you again in the dorms. So, but hey, man, I'm very happy to be able to have met you. You're a great guy. You are, you know, someone I can look up to in moments as well. Your determination and your passion. And your good view of the world. You know, sometimes I get a little abrasive, and you check me too, so I appreciate that. Um, but yes, till next time, y'all. We gonna be cranking these things out. Episode 3 is coming, as well as interviews, other exit interviews with other players from the game. And yeah, I bid you adieu. Spencer, you got any parting words?
No, who you talking to next?
Next, episode 3, I have to decide. Well, we'll see. It's a special guest. I have some people in mind, and it's
Man
gonna
has
be,
options.
it's options, but you'll have to just come and tune in. I can't spoil it now. Come
You
on
all
now,
be
no
careful.
spoilers, no
Maybe he's just gonna
spoilers.
have me come back. He's just gonna keep bringing me
Maybe
back.
he's dead. You're dead. So like you're dead. Your game's over. So I can't like you're dead. Once you're off the, like I gotta get somebody who's alive so they can tell the story that needs to be told. But you're always welcome to join anytime you want. If you want to join in, just let me know.
I'll just pop in and say hello.
Yeah, just pop in and say what's up. All right, y'all. We gonna log out of here. It's your boy DeAndre. Till next time. Deuces.